Okay, good morning everybody. Welcome to the SmartB Sports Update. I'm joined by a very special guest, one of our ambassadors, former Penrith Panthers Premiership winner, Craig Gower. Welcome, Craig.
Thanks, Dan.
Great to have you back on the podcast.
Yeah, great to be here, buddy. Let's talk all things football.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the first time we've had you back on since the Blues won that decider at Suncorp.
Yep.
It's only the third time in 14 attempts they've won a decider at Suncorp Stadium. And you were actually part of it the last time they did it back in 2005.
Yep, that's correct.
So, we will get to that a bit later. We'll start with the NRL. And we're recording this on the Friday morning after the Tigers went down 48-30 to the Cowboys at Leichhardt Oval last night. The poor old Tigers, they just can't take a trick. Looks like there's a good chance they'll be claiming their third wooden spoon in a row this year.
Yeah, it's certainly Benji's in a tough position there, and he's certainly looking outside the box where he's just not persisting with those experienced blokes, and obviously John Bateman going, and and obviously he's having his 2 cents to say now. He's over Warrington regarding culture and the rest of it. It just sounds like obviously Johnny Bateman just didn't buy into Benji's stuff, and I can't see him coming back. So, he's blooding these young guys that are having a go. But as you see in that game last night, there was, they're just making those individual errors that that get you in the NRL. You do that in reserve grade, you might get away with it, but in first grade, you just don't get away with it. So. There's some good young kids coming through, and they need experience, but sometimes you still need those senior guys around them to hold them together. And I don't know if they've got strong enough guys there at the moment to bring those younger guys together. And bringing Luai in next year, or obviously he brings in a great deal of experience. He brings in a winning culture. So hopefully, he can do what Stephen Crichton has done at Canterbury and sort of bring them together that way, and along with the coaching and so forth. But their game was gone, wasn't it? So as soon as Olam went for Sant, and they were coming back into the game, so I thought they looked like they were a chance, because the Cowboys' defence was pretty ordinary, and if you're looking, for them going forward, well. There's got to be question marks if you, but that's down to an attitude thing, and it's a consistency thing that they obviously are struggling with pretty much all year. So, Toddy Payton's got some work to do there.
Yeah, from North Queensland's point of view, you don't want to be conceding 30 points to a team like the Tigers, especially getting towards the back end of the season, September not far away.
Yeah, and with that as well, they scored points when they had 12 men. So you can tell that the Cowboys clocked off as well. They just did enough to win the game, and when you fall back and look at it, you don't really care, because you've got the 2 points. But it's what they do over the next 6 weeks leading in, which will have Toddy Payton really sort of a bit anxious, because you need to have those things coming to be perfect every game. To think that you're going to come out and take the NRL Premiership.
Yeah, I know it sounds a pretty obvious thing to say, but how big an advantage is having an opposition player sent off? I mean, we saw Suaalii got sent off in Game 1 of State of Origin. That was the only time of the series, really, where Queensland looked on top. And obviously last night with Olam getting sent off. Is there something that, I know it sounds obvious, well, they're a player down, so it's a huge advantage, but are there sort of little things that maybe the average fan wouldn't see in regard to, playing against a team with a man down?
No, not particularly. There's more space out there. It's as simple as that. And when you have to defend for 30 minutes, or in State of Origin where they did for 70, the probability of you winning that game is probably 0.1%, really, if you really look at it. And I don't think in this new generation of NRL, anyone wins now. Like, it's because it's so there's such a fine line between the teams as such, when you got one person down. So Olam, he's come in strong. It's sort of hit him under here, and it's bounced him into his chin because the bloke's chin's come down because that's the whiplash, and it's obviously collected him. So, he'll probably get 3 weeks for that.
Do you think a send-off was a fair enough decision?
I don't like seeing people get sent off.
So you would have preferred a sin
bin? I would have liked a sin bin, but, it's not that hard. The bloke's 6'2". Why are you leaving the ground? Like, you can axe him, like, straight between, like, in the red basket, and you can fold him anyway. So I don't understand why. I do understand why, is because they're taught to hit around the ball. So he's gone for the ball, and, and it's come out wrong. So, but he could have folded him anyway if he hit him low. So, just a poor decision. And that's what's been hurting the West Tigers for, pretty much all year. There's been poor decisions made out there, and I understand it's you're on the fly, but it's in our game you just can't do that now. You just can't do it.
Do you think, is it too harsh to sort of judge Benji on this year? Do you think he was sort of handed a bit of a hospital pass there at the Tigers? I mean, they've won 4 games so far this year. That's the same number they won in all of last year, but there doesn't look to have been much improvement there this season.
At the end of the day, he was running it when Tim Sheens was there. It was just more that Tim was overseeing it. So he's got to take responsibility of those results. Yes, he's blooding the new kids. They've got some footy in them, but as you've seen with Canterbury, you can have a great defensive system and win you a lot of games. And now that hasn't been a big focal point of Benji's career. So that's one thing I think they need to address with someone coming in. I'm not too sure what Robbie Farah's doing there or Johnny Morris in relation to their defensive systems, but it's certainly not working. So that's the big thing for me, is that yes, you put yourself under pressure because you do stuff with the ball and you make mistakes, and then your defence has to defend it, but they just can't defend it. So I'd be trying to get that in place where I've got a better defensive system where guys are working a lot harder for each other. And if you work a lot harder for each other, usually, your defensive program or setup will be a lot better. But it seems like they're not. They're working as individuals and not as a team.
So that's interesting. So you sort of tend to think, from what you've said there, you tend to think that maybe the fact that defence wasn't something Benji was renowned for as a player, is that sort of rubbing off on his team now?
Well, I don't know if it's rubbing off. I don't know who's running their defensive systems. Yeah. So that needs to be looked at. Like, why are they leaking so many points? Is it just individual misses? Is it, has it got to actually down to do their systems? Are players buying into the system? That's the biggest thing that they needed to do. And if you look at the way Cam's done his Canterbury, he's just weeded out the blokes that just don't want to work harder for each other. It's as simple as that. And if you go through their game, through the West Tigers game, well, you just pick it apart then, don't you? And you ask the players individually, what were you doing there? Why weren't you, tying in? What were you doing at markup? Why were you on the ground? Like, there's so many different aspects of a good defensive system that they need to really knuckle down and have a look at for them to be any chance of moving forward, because defence wins games, and you've seen it already. And your attack usually comes on the back of having good defence, because you can defend it. So, but there's a shitload of work to be done.
Yeah. So, do you think that they've gotten worse this year, the Tigers?
I don't think they've gotten worse. I think they've improved because they're blooding these new players, these younger players. But the only problem about this is that if they keep losing these young guys, they're going to hold that baggage as well as the older blokes done. So, you're on a fine line where you need to turn it around quick, but you still need to have some senior players there to lead the way, and hopefully Luai can do that. And obviously they need to go to market and pick up another front rower and. But there's not much out there, is there?
Yeah, I mean, Taruva coming as well next year from the Panthers,
True.
coming across. He's a much-needed signing, and they're losing Isaiah Papali'i to the Panthers, though.
Yeah, but Isaiah Papali'i has done absolutely nothing there anyway. It's like he didn't want to go there in the first place, and he's just delivered shit, pretty much. So, and now he's going to Penrith. It's going to be interesting to see what sort of play you get. Now he goes into a good system. He knows he has to work hard there, or you don't play. And that's just shows you the different mindset coming from out of West Tigers. Well, they're going to a better organisation, and you will not fit in if you don't want to work hard.
So it doesn't sound like you're too thrilled about the signing of Papali'i.
Oh no, it's not. It's got nothing to do with that. I just that was his form, and I think he even come out and said that. So why is that? Why has he let himself become that player? Like, he come from Parramatta where he was killing it, so he should go there and be the best player, or be one of the best players, because that's how you're judged on what you deliver. And I understand sometimes you can't play to your best every week, but you can put in the effort.
Yeah, 100%. Just sort of moving along to your Panthers now. It looks like they're pretty close, pretty much a done deal to sign Blaize Talagi from Parramatta. All sorts of problems at the Eels with players having these get-out clauses in their contracts. I guess they're looking at Talagi as a real possibility to replace Luai in the halves there at Penrith next year.
Which is a big call. I know Blaize is certainly a talented young individual. If you're Jack Cole, then you're feeling a bit disheartened in a way, because you're sort of next in line. You've been in the system and so forth. So it's going to be interesting to see that dynamic. But also it makes for competition, and it makes players want to be better and want to work harder. So, a great acquisition for Penrith, and it just beefs up their side, because obviously we've lost a fair bit of talent out of that team over the last 3 or 4 years. So it's good to bring a couple back in, but it'd be interesting to see what's coming through now for us, because I know that the Harold Matthews and the Ball, they didn't go too particularly well. So it's interesting that they've gone out and purchased instead of coming from within. So it's something to look at, I suppose.
Yeah. Taylor May sacked by the club. Taruva going as well, and obviously Luai. That vacancy at 5'8", so a real opportunity for Talagi there.
Well, that's the thing.
Wherever he plays.
Well, he could play centre. That's the thing. Yeah. So because of Taylor not being there, so they've got options. That's the main thing. So
I think he's third in the comp for intercepts, Talagi, as well. So he can sniff out an intercept as good as anyone in the competition.
Yeah, but I know. I bet you they didn't buy him for his intercepts. He'll be taught to stay in the system, and then if it's there, it's there. But certainly he's got all the talent. He's been earmarked, at a young age, coming through Parramatta. So there's certainly something going on at Parramatta. They're not consistently they're losing players, and so it's going to be interesting to see what roles he can do with them.
Yeah, he's walked into a difficult situation there, hasn't he?
Well, and then for the coach to speak to the young fellas and then have them still leave, that's saying something. Because obviously Rozzy will bring us a fair bit of change. He's been in some great systems. He knows what a good system looks like, and for him to have blokes sort of walk out, well, that's there's something bad's happening there.
Yeah, 100%. It's been a big news week for your Panthers, actually, with these murmurs around Brian To'o wanting out. Now, on NRL 360 the other night, they were talking about the fact that they felt as though maybe someone had got in his ear in Origin camp.
Yeah.
Maybe apparently he's good mates with Jerome Luai. Maybe Luai spoke to him in Origin camp. Did someone get to him in Origin camp? He's come out and on social media, on Instagram, and denied the reports. He said that he's staying put, he's sticking solid. What have you made of that this week?
It's actually been a little bit disappointing, really, because it's, Brian's he's on social media. I'm not a social media person, but he's a man of the socials,
Yeah.
But
yeah, I can't see you ever going on Instagram to deny reports.
My missus runs it anyway. Yeah. Probably all true, but it's one of those things where he could have knocked that out straight away and just posted something, said I'm not going nowhere, I'm committed, that's it, done. But it actually prolonged and stayed there, and now it's taken how many days to sort of him for to come out. So I find that there's a bit of mud in the water there somewhere,
There's something there. Often it's not what they say, it's what they don't say as well.
That's right. And then, I think his agent's leaning Ayub, so why didn't he come out and just squash it straight away? But at the end of the day, he signed the deal. Was last year or maybe the year before or whatever, and he signed a 227. So what, has your agent done a bad job or what? Or what is it? You know what I mean? Like, it's a, yeah. And I understand that your mates are gone, but your mates are gone to all different clubs. And what the other side of the funny thing before that is that they were all coming out saying, we're all brothers, we're going to play at the one, we're going to stay here together. Well, that went out the window. As soon as the cash come in, we're out of here. We're out of here. So, first and foremost was, they're brothers now, but when the actual cash comes, they go, oh, no, I've got to take that. So, there's a bit, it's very, is it bullshit? Like, really? You know what I mean? Like, and at the end of the day, you got to do the best for your family. I get all that sort of stuff, but saying shit like that just makes me laugh because I know that when actually push comes to shove, you're not in the game that long, and if you get an offer that's substantially more elsewhere, nine times out of 10 you're taking it. And
that's the thing, that the player or his manager, they might be wanting to blame this on the media, but they could come out and deny it straight away. That there's nothing stopping them from doing that.
And that's what was sort of the funny thing about it. He didn't do that. He could have done it straight away.
100%.
And it would have went away. So and it didn't. And then you got to they have to have meetings. Well, why do you have to have meetings? If he doesn't want to go anywhere, why does he have to? So. Or is he just angling to get an extra 50 or 100 grand or whatever it is, But I thought it was a bit how you going, but it's a business, it's a game. But the funny thing is, I thought you're not allowed to speak to anyone. So how would you know what's your values out there?
Yeah, yes, contracted until 2027.
So that doesn't happen, So you just see the way the rugby league works. It's just. Yeah. It's comical sometimes, where people will negotiate. I say they're not allowed to talk to anyone, but there's two offers. Well, how do you know what clubs want him? Yeah. Isn't that like straight away flagged? But it's not. It never is. So I thought it was another entertaining weekend anyway for the supporters anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Michael Carianis from the Daily Telegraph on NRL 360, he said. Toto's going to be on 650,000 next year. They sort of went around the panel. A few of them were saying they'd pay 900,000 for him. Would you pay 900,000 for it?
No.
So what's the highest amount you would pay for it?
You pay him 900. It takes away from somewhere. Yeah. So I understand he's the number one winger in the game. Now, the number one winger in the game a while ago wouldn't be anywhere near that. But because actually now they start set. Well, the way he starts the sets, he's the best in the game at it. So I thought the 650's like around the mark, like maybe 7, like max. But then it's just you can't just have top end and then your lower end of the cap is so far apart. You consistently you're not going to get the best out of it. Unless you're in Melbourne, then it's down to your actual coaching. And you look at Melbourne, they can do that because Craig will just say, this is your job, this is what I want you to do, and this is how you're going to do it. And then these players excel. Even Ivan, they're doing it there at Penrith. I wouldn't say they're in the realm of bellyache because of the fact that Bellyache's been doing it for a lot longer than what Penrith are doing. And the thing about Penrith is that, when you've got Fisher Harris, Leota, Nathan, Yowie, Liam Martin, Luai, Toto, like Dylan Edwards, like, there's you listen to that, look at that list. That's that's insane. So those kids just have to come in, and they're playing outside those blokes. And you look at the players that have, and it's the same at Melbourne. When you look at the players that have come in and then they've gone elsewhere, they haven't done much. And even like even Proctor that left from Melbourne went to the Titans, it was nothing compared to what he was at Melbourne.
And I mean, if Toto were to go to the Tigers and they were to pay him $900,000, I mean, that'd bend their salary cap out of shape again, and that's a club that really can't afford for their salary cap to be bent out of shape. They haven't made the top 8 for 13 years.
Well, then you got Bud Sullivan that's sitting in reserve grade. They paid $500,000 for. Like, who's actually recruiting these people? Like, and how many games first grade he's played? Like this year, well, maybe one. He's playing reserve grade.
Not many.
He's the highest reserve grade player running around. Like, fuck. Like, it's just going, wow. Like, really? So then you got the halves that are all there. So Finau, he's a good young player coming in. Now you got Galvin there. Then you got obviously Luai coming in. It's going to be the demographic of who's going to partner the Luai is going to be interesting because Finau's he's a player of the future. His brother's been very good as well in second row. So it's going to be a few noses bent out of shape when obviously Luai gets there and they think they're right to play first grade, and then if they're not playing first grade, then they're going, well, I want out.
Yeah, and I mean, there's the fans out there will be going, looking at Brian Toto, if he's thinking about going somewhere like the Tigers and going, like, really? You won 3 premierships in a row? There's a good chance it could be 4 in a row. There may be more to come after that. And he's thinking about going to a team that's struggling more than any other club at the moment.
Yeah, that's why I found it just weird, because if you're Brian, you have to be getting paid an extra 200 plus to actually go there, because you lose after in tax. You're not like Luai where Penrith were at 850 or around that 859. He's gone there and got whatever he's got, like, which is extra probably 300-400 grand. It's a lot different, And then on the back of it, they've lost their front rower. They've got young kids coming through, but it's going to be a grind for them. So. It's just as I said, it's a weird situation, I think.
Yeah, a very handy player, obviously, Toto. He's 5th in the NRL this season for post-contact metres, 2nd in the NRL for tackle breaks, and 5th in the NRL for half breaks. So, one of the quality players of the competition.
No one's doubting what he does for the team. Like, it's unbelievable what he does for the team, and that's why he's the highest paid winger. Simple as that. Like, every position's got their top line players of what they get. Like, obviously front rows now are on $1 million because they're starting your sets. Now I see the argument where he should be up there because he's starting the sets. I get that. But when you look at it across the field, then what does it take away from your top 30? So.
So that's the point. The good point you raise is that, well, if you're paying him the extra money, you lose it somewhere else.
That's the thing about it. Like, you look at Kalaponga, he's getting astronomical cash at Newcastle, but what's around him? So everything's on his shoulders. So it's either he performs or they don't win. And then if he gets injured, he's off. He's out. So.
It's a risk that a club like Manly take as well. I mean, a lot of their salary cap goes into DC and Tom Trebojevic, and it's great when they're both fit. But a lot of the time, Tommy Turbo's not fit, and Manly's fortunes seem to really hinge on whether he's fit or not.
Well, and it does. That's the risk they take. DC plays all the time, so. But if you look at the stats of when Turbo plays, it's a high number of games that they're winning. Yeah. So, and I suppose it's that risk reward with him. Would you want him going elsewhere?
Yeah, 100%. And just lastly on this Toho situation, talk that he spoke to other players in Origin camp, probably spoke to Luai. Is that... But back when you were in Origin camp, would other players talk to you about their contracts, what they're earning? Was that something that was discussed?
Not really, but he talks to Luai every day. So you already knew. You probably already knew what sort of coin he was getting anyway.
Yeah.
So
do you think maybe too much was made of that? Talking to other players in Origin camp.
Oh, mate, even if he did, like, he's still the highest paid winger anyway. Like, Zach Lomax is getting 800 because he's a centre. Like. So, I just, as I said, and then he picked up another 90 grand playing State of Origin. So, there's 700. So, as I said, he does some great things out in the field, and is he worth a bit more cash? Well, it's up to the market then, isn't it? Yeah. But the thing is, he's not allowed to go to market apparently. So. I don't know. So it's funny how these clubs have mentioned, and you go, well, hold on, he's contracted to the 27, and this is the other side. Clubs do it to players, and then when the players do it to clubs, the players are greedy, but the clubs get away with it when you're pushed, when you're tapped on the shoulder, and that's where it's a business. And yes, a contract actually means nothing these days. So I don't begrudge any player angling if they want to get paid more, but it's under the circumstances. You're at probably the number one club at the moment. You've won 3 premierships. You can win another one, and you'll probably win a couple more because you've still got the same players there. You've just picked up a great young kid as well, and whenever you got Nathan in your team and Dylan Edwards at the back, Mitch Kenny's been unbelievable. Like, his improvement has been astronomical, what he's doing out of dummy half and that, and it's a credit to himself. He works hard, and to the coaching staff.
Yeah, just on Nathan Cleary, we'll just move on to him now. He's only been 2 games back, and he's showing fine form already. Kicked that golden 2-point field goal against the Dolphins. Yep. And then scored a hat-trick last weekend against the Dragons.
Well, I think with Nath, I reckon Mitch Moses' performance in Game 3 just lit a fire, because Mitch has come out and done the job. He's done an amazing job in that game, and if Nathan was fit, he would have been playing. Now, Mitch Moses has seized that opportunity, and Nathan's come out first and foremost fresh ready to play, and he was a bit scratchy the first game, but then he was on fire the second. It'll be interesting to see how he leads into the final series, and not like that he has a point to prove, but I think I imagine that's how he thinks, because of that lost opportunity to play Origin and dominate, and be in a winning series. And Moses doing it on the big stage. So, and that's the thing. Next year, when that side gets picked, it's going to be interesting to see what Madge does, because Mitch done the job for him, right? So, and if he's playing well, then, and Nathan's playing well, who's he go with?
I was going to ask you that question. I know it's a long way away.
It's a long way away, but
it's an eternity away.
But it's a great question, because that's the loyalty side. He did it under the big stage for you. He got the job done up there.
Yeah.
Now, and Nathan, I think Nathan's a better player, but it's Mitch's game is certainly improved. Certainly improved.
So if they're both fit and in form going into Game 1 next year, who would you pick of the two?
Oh, I pick Nathan because I'm biased, but it's more the fact is that I'm not the coach.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it's up to Mads to go. Yeah. Now, do you put them together?
Yeah.
But then Luai did the job.
Yeah.
So
you would pick Nathan if it was up to you, but which way do you think Madge will go if they're both fit and in form?
I think he picks Mitch.
Do you think? Yeah.
But that's the loyalty side to it.
Yeah. And you think he'd keep Luai there as well?
Well, they did the job for him. Yeah. He picked his side. That's going to be one of the biggest calls that he'll probably ever have to make. So it's when that comes around next year, that's going to be very interesting. Certainly very interesting because it's Nathan is the premier player in the game. The way he controls the game, he's just his head. His option making is like, I'd hate to see it. It'd be probably 90%. Like what he wants to do and how he converts it. So it's going to be. And the thing about that, Nathan hasn't dominated the Origin arena yet, and that's the question mark that that sort of hangs over his head, where he's done it on countless times, clubland, premierships and so forth, but it's just on that stage, and I suppose that'd be a burning desire for him.
It's going to be very interesting when we get to selection for game one next year for the Blues. We'll just move that one along there, John. Just looking at the Panthers and their, is anyone going to stop them winning 4 in a row? Our number one defensive team again this season, conceding just 276 points. That's 15.3 per game. It's a staggering defensive record they've had over this run of 3 straight premierships.
And the big thing about this year, it's that they haven't had their team locked in either. And it's been guys coming in and out. There's been some injuries. Fisher Harris is out, and Dylan Edwards is out. But I think the injuries sort of come at a good time for them because it's like they freshen up. Nathan didn't play a lot of games, so he's coming in fresh. Yowi's just one of the leaders of the pack, where he just continuously just plays at a consistent level, week in, week out. And he doesn't. He's never off the field. So they're certainly looking very dangerous. And Melbourne are going to be strong. Like they've got Munster come back now if he can stay healthy, and they're a good team. I think it's going to be those two. The Dogs are they've been unreal considering where they've come from, defensively how they work. I think the Dogs will be top 4.
Yeah, right, okay. I've got the Bulldogs on the rundown, actually. A huge turnaround from them. They were the worst defensive team last season. Yeah. And now they're the second best defensive team, only behind the Panthers. They're the only 2 teams to have conceded less than 300 points this season. And
you look at their attacks being, scratchy, but they've won games off their defence. And that's the big thing. You can win games, being a good defensive team, and that's what they've done. And now their attacks still coming together. They still need Sexton's a good player, but he's not anywhere near the top line players. So then that's not to begrudge a young fella, but it's just it is what it is. But he sees his opportunity replacing Drew Hutchinson. So. Yeah. He's done a great job for him. So he gets him around the park, and he's got a good kicking game. So, and then all the other players that they've recruited, who are, not part-time first graders, but they was rock solid, utility sort of players, and they've come in and done the job for him. So they've got to be highly commended for what they've done.
Yeah, 100%. You mentioned, I remember on one of the previous podcasts you were here much earlier in the season, you were talking about Hutchison, and you said, look, they can't win the comp with him at halfback. It's almost as though they've listened to you and put Sexton in there. They're
I don't have to listen to me, Dan, but but it's. Drew's a utility player as well. Like, he can fit in places, he can get the job done, but on a consistent basis to play halfback, like, it was a hard gig to take. But he's good there to have a backup. Like he can come on and play other roles as well. So it depends on injuries and so forth. But they've got a small pack that work hard for each other defensively, and then credit is what he's done as a leader for their team, as their captain. He's just that clear head on the field, and he's had a wonderful season.
And it seems like in the absence of a halfback, they've decided to go out and buy players who can play multiple positions, like someone like Connor Tracy, who's done really well at fullback this year. But he can play anywhere in the outside backs. you've got the likes of Jamin Salmon, Kurt Mann, these players who can play multiple positions.
Yep.
So they didn't panic because they couldn't sign a halfback. They just went about it a different way and brought players who could play multiple positions.
And you have to, because there's not many players or halfbacks out there. So they had to sort of come up with a different way of looking at things. And Connor Tracy's been amazing at the back. Yeah. You know, like Blake Taft come from South, that was he was supposed to play that fullback role, and he's played, you know, a lot better. He's quick. He's very elusive young fella. So he's been really good.
Yeah, Tracy only got a chance at fullback. Dom Young hit Blake Taff high and got sent off much earlier in the season, and Taff was stood down from the next game with a HIA. And Tracy got his opportunity. Sometimes that's all it takes, one injury like that, and the rest is history.
Yeah, that's right. And the Kiraz and so forth, they've been great, and the wingers and so forth. So there won't be an easy team to play against, because you know you have to fight for your points. So it's the same thing. It's going to be interesting to see when the Dogs play Melbourne or play Penrith. Can they contain what they throw at them? You know, the other clubs, probably aren't throwing as much at them as in attack as what those two clubs will.
So you think the Bulldogs are on track to finish the regular season in the top 4?
I reckon they will. Yeah. I reckon they will. Just down to their defence. You know, if they're mentally at that way of just defending every game the same way, and they've been doing it consistently now for a long time. So if they can keep their mindset right, building towards the semi-finals, I reckon they'll play. They'll be top 4. I think the Sharks will drop out.
Yeah, right. Okay. We are going to talk about the ladder a little later and how things might go. Just getting on to John's Dragons. How have you seen them this season? They're going okay. 9 wins, 9 losses.
No, they're
only outside the 8 on differential.
They were unreal last week, weren't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, poor old Benny Hunt. But that wind down there, that can be the worst wind. It just gets, the southerly comes in, and it's a filthy wind, that one. And you don't get your ball drop right like Benny Hunt did. Yeah, but that was. I needed a Lomax to score. I had a multi going for the boys. It was filthy. It was filthy. So
your Panthers can do that to any team though on their day.
If you're not up to it, they'll put points on you. It's simple. And they lost Fisher Harris early in the game, but the same thing with the Dragons. If you look at that, the last bit of the top 8, you got the Dolphins and Canberra, Newcastle, St George. They've got these inconsistencies where they can't perform week in, week out, and that's why it's so hard to pick, because of the inconsistencies that the teams are showing. Like, you look, how are the Broncos 13th? Like, really? Like, you look at their squad, and I thought after when I've just gone blank. The halfback would come back. Reynolds come back. Yeah. When Reynolds come back against Newcastle, and he just had them on a string, and then they dished up that shit against Canterbury. Was it because Canterbury come ready to play, and the Broncos just think it's going to happen, and they're not willing to work hard for it. And there's that a bit of ego. They've got such an unbelievable roster, and to fall off the perch like the way that they have. It's actually embarrassing, really. Yeah. And if you're in that group and they keep talking it up, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Talk's cheap. It's about getting out there and actually rolling up the sleeves, and the other stuff will come. If you're willing to put in the hard work, then all the razzle dazzle things will just that comes to you naturally. But at the moment, it doesn't seem like they're all on the same page. They think they are, but they're not. So they play the Titans this week, so that's going to be a good game, because the Titans are starting to play. They haven't got the same roster, but at least they want to play for each other.
Yeah, and 13th on the ladder, the Broncos. It's not as if they can afford to dish up what they dished up against the Bulldogs.
They need to win every game. So can they do it? Well, I'd say probably not.
not. It's going to be hard.
Probably not, just because of the inconsistency they've shown. Like, how do you just all of a sudden turn around in 1 week, go, oh, okay, well, let's be consistent? Like, it doesn't work like that. To turn it on a dime. They might scrape away with a win against the Titans, and then, scrape away with another win, and then obviously that builds the confidence, like 2 or 3 down the track. But you got to get those first 2 or 3 first, and I know they got a bye as well. So, that's certainly a fall from grace from where they were last year.
Yeah, just sort of looking at we had the ladder up just a moment ago, but just thinking about the top 8, do you see much changing in that regard between now and the end of the season, or you think it might stay the same?
It's going.
There's the ladder there.
Yeah, I reckon the Dolphins will drop out because of who they're playing. Like I looked at their, but you look at those teams that are underneath them as well. They haven't got easy games either, and because they've been so inconsistent, like it's a nightmare to pick as such. It's whatever team in that little group can go on a run. The Warriors are sitting on 21, where they all sort of come back now. They're getting a few players back. Sean Johnson's been a shadow of what he was last year. Now, can he start to produce? Like, because he hasn't done anything this year, and has it been down to injuries or whatever? But they haven't been anywhere near it. So if they can get a bit of consistency and go on a run, it's whatever team can get on a run there and win their last, say, 3 games, gets them in on probably about 30, I reckon, because I reckon they're all going to get beat. Yeah. All those teams will get beat there, and that's why Broncos can maybe slide in, because if they can go on a run, but as I said, I don't think they can.
Yeah, when we had 16 teams, winning half your games seemed to be enough. But last year, with the Dolphins coming in the 17th team, teams that won 13 or more games made the 8. The teams that only won 12, so half their games, that they didn't make the 8.
Yeah.
So it seems like 13 wins is that number you need to get into the 8 now, with the 17th team coming in.
Yeah, well, it's going to... as I said, it's just going to be interesting, because they all sort of play the top 4 sides. So that's where, if they can pick up one against one of those top sides and win a few of the other ones with it down in the bottom of the 8, well, that'll hold them in good stead. But that's where, and certainly when they're playing away and playing at home. But at the moment, it seems like even that you can't sort of pick.
Yeah, I mean, there's a real logjam there, isn't there? I mean, only 4 points between the Roosters in 3rd spot and the Dragons in 10th.
I reckon it'll come back down to for and against. That's what it's going to come back down to. So, but it's a dead set lottery. But that's the thing. I think the Dogs, they're playing. I think they've got to play Manly. They've got to play a few in the top 8. But I think they're from what they're showing, I really think that they can do something to get into that sort of top 4 and give them two bites of the cherry.
So you I guess if we're looking at grand final teams, do you think that's a bit of a stretch for the Bulldogs? Like, you'd have obviously the Panthers and the Storm ahead of them in that regard. Would they be your 2 grand final teams at this stage?
Without doubt, without doubt. You've seen the Roosters; they didn't even compete against Melbourne. I don't know what's lacking with the Roosters to actually be that, because they've got a good roster. They can play really good football. I like the way Sammy Walker plays with a bit of off the cuff footy. I like that, because you can see different creativity. It's not all the same out the back stuff we continually see. They've got some great aerial threats, with Manu and Tupu, and obviously got Teddy at the back. Teddy's still a world-class player. So, and they've got a wonderful pack. With Lindsay Collins, Hardgraves, Lanu. The list goes on there. So, I thought they would have pushed Melbourne a lot more. Anything can happen in semi-finals, but if you're looking at it now, certainly those Penrith and Melbourne are sort of out in front a fair way, I think.
Yeah, in terms of the Roosters, I mean, they obviously last won the premiership in 2019. But since then, that they haven't featured in a prelim final. They've sort of made the 8 and sort of dropped out without having any real impact in the finals. Ordinarily, you'd say, it's great they're making the 8 every year, but for a star-studded roster like theirs, just making the 8 isn't really enough, is it?
It's a pass mark. It's a pass mark, but it's certainly not what they want as a football club. But to have that success continually, it's not hard to do. It's very hard to do. Sorry, and it's all about having your right systems. And you need some luck. You need some luck with injuries and so forth, like trying to keep your team together. And they've still got developing players. Like Luke Cleary's probably, he's been okay, but he wasn't at the same form he was when Cooper Cronk was there. And Sammy Walker, he's had a way better season than he did last year, but he's still not the finished product either. So, you're talking about halves that are good halves, but they're not. They're not a Munster or Hughes, or they're not a Cleary or a Lua. So, and they pay the big bucks to win games. As simple as that. So, and that's happening for Penrith, and that's happening for Melbourne.
Yeah, you get to this time of year, we're sort of a couple of weeks after the State of Origin series now. I think we've got this round to be completed, and then we've still got another 5 rounds after that. Are teams just sort of really waiting for the finals now to get underway? Is this sort of
not really. This is where this is the building period where you're trying to fine tune you tune the way you want to go about things, and having a consistency leading into the semi-finals. So it's a very important part of the season to actually to define what you actually can do when the semis come around. So some big games for those clubs in that fighting to get into the top 8. But if you're up the top of the ladder, it's all about just keeping the consistency there, working on the small things that you need to work on, and get yourself primed for semi-final football.
Yeah, 100%. We might just move that one along there, John. I think we're into State of Origin now. You must be very proud of what the Blues were able to do. As I mentioned a bit earlier, only the 3rd time from 14 attempts that they've won an Origin decider in Brisbane. You were a part of it the last time they did that back in 2005. You must have been thrilled for them watching that.
Yeah, it was. It was just a cracking game. It's probably the best game I've ever watched. The intensity of that first half. Usually it comes out after about 10 or 15 minutes, but this dead set went for 35, and it didn't matter who ran the ball, they were all just getting pumped. And there was a worrying period there, when, Queensland went in at 4-2, and I thought, we had that so much ball on them and we couldn't break them. And usually that comes back to bite you. But because we took so much gas out of them, and we had a couple of blokes, take some opportunities, and that's what it's about. It's about those opportunities coming and taking them, and that's what sort of got us home. But it was a wonderful spectacle of football, just from a defensive mindset, where people sometimes don't like that because there's no tries in that. But that's a true NRL game when two teams are actually going at it, and it's not easy to score. Players were coming from everywhere, and it just shows you how much effort is put in, and how much gas is actually taken out of you. And to consistently try and do that week in, week out, imagine trying to do that. But that's why it's only a 3-game series, because you're talking a top echelon of players that have the ability to go to that next level and play with that speed and how ferocious it was. It was a great spectacle for the game.
Yeah, 100%. Just an extraordinary achievement to go up there in a decider in Brisbane and hold Queensland triallers. Just a phenomenal achievement, not only win the game, but to not concede a try. I mean, that's just a remarkable defensive effort from the Blues. Yeah,
you got to commend both sides. That's just how good of a game it was, and I understand, Queensland were obviously not happy with losing, but, that the way that they performed compared to the second game was, they had amazing effort that they put in, because they had, I think it was 57-43 possession. So usually you have 25 put on you if that's the case, but they didn't. But to our boys, as I said, defence wins games. We held the ball well. Kicking game was great from Moses. Ran the ball when he needed to run the ball. He done the job for us. Every player played to their potential, and that's all you can ask for as a coach. He's Madge done an amazing job with the squad, and he picked the right people.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, you'd have to think he won the battle of the coaches. In what ways do you think he sort of maybe out-coached Billy Slater in this series?
I don't think he out-coached him as such. I think it was just more that, he prepared the team the way he wanted them. And he stayed true to his identity as a coach and to the players. And he coached the players and he picked the players that he wanted and he thought that he could do the job with. And Billy probably did the same. Maybe he got under Billy's collar a few times with his comments and so forth. He might have played him off a break there somewhere. But, as a coach, you're going in at that level. It's about preparing the players. Usually, the systems and stuff that come in, it's mostly club systems anyway that you play in. And Origin's more about just the effort, pushing your body through that pain, of obviously how fast it is and taking your body into places that it's probably never been before. So he done that probably better than Billy, because we won the series. That's, I suppose you can say it that way, but he done a great job, considering Madge was under a bit of pressure there, because he got brought in to win the series, and a bit of heartbreak in that first one where it was just mainly down to one guy getting sent off. So it probably could have been 3-0.
Madge is putting together a very good rep coaching CV. Coaching New Zealand to that 30-0 Pacific Championship final win over Australia last year.
Yep.
To be able to do that and then come straight into New South Wales, who'd been struggling. They'd lost 3 of the last 4 series going into this year. To just come in and not only win a series, but to do it in that fashion, winning a decider in Brisbane, leading 34-0 at halftime in Game 2. That was a record score for a first half in an Origin game.
Yeah.
Now, to not only win the series, but to do it in the fashion that he did as well was amazing.
Yeah. So there's always been a thing about Madge where he's too intense. And Origin and rep football compared to club is different. So you can have that intensity for that short period of time and get yourself ready to go. But to try and be that intense, and I suppose that's the gripe the circles around about Madge. So that's probably why he's got a wonderful rep record, because of that, because he can be that intense. But the other side of that, you've seen his personality a bit as well through the Origin campaign, and you never really get to see that through Clubland with him. So it might be a learning curve for Madge in a way as well, to pick his time to be, a bit, obviously intense about what he's doing, and then to back off if he goes back to club football. So I'm sure that he's done a wonderful job with bringing in the old boys from the Origin as well, and making everyone inclusive, and he's certainly done a great job with bringing everyone together, not let alone just the football team.
So maybe like Madge now, maybe he's really sort of found his space, hasn't he, as a rep coach? Maybe
I wouldn't say he's found his space. He knows how to get the best out of players in that short period of time. And now he's done it on multiple occasions with different personalities, and that's a great credit to him. But knowing Madge, he's a career coach, and he'd probably want to coach NRL. So, and everything has a lifespan as well. So Doesn't matter what you do. There's always a lifespan there, and it's knowing when to get in and when to get out. So, he's only first year in, and he's got one more year in his contract. Will he go again, or will he go for an NRL job if it comes up? So, I know what I'd rather do. I'd rather just do the little 3-week stint.
Yeah.
And not have all the other bullshit for 12 months of the year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. But he loves it. He loves doing that. So, you can't begrudge the bloke, wanting to be an NRL coach. But there's no downtime.
What about...
He mustn't like his missus or something, mate. I don't know.
So what did you make of Queensland? Was there anything they could have done differently? I mean, there was a lot of talk that maybe they should have picked David Fifita. I mean, there was talk coming out of there that they didn't want to pick Fifita because they were worried about how he could perform under fatigue. But then you look at someone like Kafusi, who only played 16 minutes in Game 3. So you sort of look at that as a fan, you look at that and go, well, how could they be so worried about David Fifita being fatigued when they're picking someone on the bench who only plays 16 minutes?
Yeah, you made a good point, Dan. Billy is very astute about why he picks players and what he's actually looking for in the game, and it'd be down to those little things of just defensive issues of tying in, making an effort on an effort. Is a bloke walking certain stages, things like this where he'll pick up on, and you can't do that in Origin. So he might think that he's a liability. But, David's been playing some great football for the Titans, and he's such a damaging ball runner. So surely he could have, he would have made more of an impact than Foose. But you can't knock Billy with who he chooses, because usually he's around the mark. And as a coach, you pick the players that you want there, and for some reason he didn't want David there, and that's how it rolls.
Yeah, he didn't seem too happy with the referee after that decider either. Billy Slater, he sort of mentioned, the rub of the green, the bounce of the ball didn't go our way, and he said, I'm sure the referee will review his own game. I'm sure his boss will review his game. I mean, I know that's not harsh criticism of the referee, but it's he's just pointing the finger a bit.
He's just deflecting and throwing a jab, mate. Like every game you go, that ref. Every game, I don't care who it is. The ref, But
it's cheap criticism, though, isn't it?
When don't get me wrong. I watch the game, some of the game, and go, fuck, seriously, like that call, like, are you getting help or what? But you just got to. They're never always going to get it right, and it doesn't matter what eyes are looking at it. Someone's going to say, "Oh, you got it wrong." So they're in a hiding to none. So I understand why they get protected, because, really, who'd want to do that job? Seriously, they're getting pumped every time, and because they're under such a microscope, they're scared to make a call, because if they get the call wrong, the video picks it up at home. They show it and show it and show it, and then everyone's up. He's made a mistake. Well, everyone makes mistakes. Make mistakes every day. But these blokes aren't allowed to. That's how it comes across. And don't get me wrong, I'm throwing shit at the TV as well, going seriously, how'd you come up with that? But does it make me right? Probably not. So it's just they're in a hiding to none. It doesn't matter what they do. They do the best they can. Move on, or don't show replays. But everyone wants to see replay. So because everyone wants to know what happened there. If they just let them go and make, like they did back in the day, they just go, we'll make the call, and you just roll on. You get the right. That's when you get the rub of the green. So
that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, they keep having to hold the game up for these captain's challenges, bunker reviews, but I mean they're getting it wrong anyway. I mean, that's the thing. At least if the referee just made the decision and you didn't have the bunker, well, they may make the wrong decision, but at least the flow of the game wouldn't be upset.
Yeah.
At the moment, it's sort of like we're getting the worst of both worlds in that, the technology's holding up the flow of the game and they're getting it wrong, whereas if the ref just made the call and we just lived with it, then we'd still have the flow of the game. Yeah.
Well, it's funny. Last night in the game against the Tigers and Cows, first half they were attacking and they've run a block shape and someone's taken out Papali, and then but the halfback was on the outside of him, and he was chasing, and the ball had already gone, but they're saying he took him out. Well, Papali wasn't going to get in front of Finau to get out there, so that was just one of those things where he's taking him out, but he was never going to get there anyway. But they don't, mate. They call it black and white. Oh, you hit him. He didn't run his inside shoulder. But he was inside the player that the ball went outside anyway. So if the bloke on that side couldn't get to him anyway, Finau couldn't get to him, well, Papali wasn't going to get to him. Like, that's just common sense. But they go, oh no, black and white, and that just gets me. Where you're thinking like someone in the box, you'd be going, there's no one in the world that bloke would have got him. That's a try.
That's the thing. Is it really? I mean, is it really all about getting it right? I mean, at the expense of the spectacle itself? I mean, the game's about entertainment, isn't it? It's not entertaining to hold the game up all the time, going to the bunker. Why they brought in the Captain's Challenge, I'm not sure. It's just created another reason to hold up the game.
At the end of the day, it's big business, so they want to get it right. Or they think they want to get it right. But this is a problem, is that because they're trying to make it black and white, and sometimes it's grey. And then you can't go, well, no, because of whatever reason, and then yes, because of whatever reason. And then you go, well, then some people are going, oh, no, that's not right. So you just, like, you're never going to win, and they're never going to fix it because you can't. There's going to be mistakes. They're trying to minimise those mistakes. I understand that. You know, the Captain's Challenge, I don't mind it because, you know, there's some things that happen out there that go, well, but I can't believe how many times they get it wrong as a Captain's Challenge. Like, the players that think that they haven't done that mistake or whatever it is, you wonder what they're actually thinking. You know, how didn't you touch it? I think leaving last night when they touched the ball, West Tigers touched the ball and went out. He goes, oh, I didn't touch it. What do you mean you didn't touch it? Yeah. Like, the worst decision in the world. Like, he'd be barred. Yeah. Fuck. Like, seriously going, like, what are you thinking there? Yeah. So, you know, so I don't mind that, but it's the players just being, I don't know what they're thinking when they go, oh, I didn't do something when they did it, you know.
Do you think the game was better off without the technology, without the bunker, without the Captain's Challenge in those pre-video referee, pre-bunker days?
No, because those decisions were always spoken about anyway. Oh, you missed that. Oh, that was a big one where he scored. He didn't actually ground the ball. So, you know, and sometimes now with the grounding of the ball, it's different to actually when I played. Like, usually it could leave the hand and you could touch it down, and that'd be a try. But now you can't leave it at all. So there's been, you know, changes in the actual way that they look at things. So yeah, it's a hard one for the supporters, but you know, I understand why they're trying to do it. You know.
Yeah, 100%. I think that might just about do us there. We got any housekeeping there, John, or I think we might have. Yeah. So, just follow the SmartB app on social media. Thanks very much for coming in, Craig.
Appreciate Dan.
Appreciate your time. Always great to chat, and yeah, great to have you in again.
Oh.
Great to chat about the Blues and the final series coming up.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks very much. We'll see you next time. Thank you.